Mm.
Welcome back to the Pre-Vetted podcast, where we spotlight extraordinary people and remarkable talent reshaping our world. Today, we are joined by Chanda Coston. She's a business coach and strategist who helps new and aspiring entrepreneurs, especially third quarter entrepreneurs, turn long held dreams into thriving businesses. Chanda brings a rare mix of execution and leadership. She has over 20 years across the US Navy, government and defense programs, and corporate roles. She is a Lean Six Sigma black belt and a project management professional, and she currently leads Chanda Co. and Chanda Co. as CEO while also working as a logistics project manager supporting the National Weather Service. Chanda, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I am honored to have you here today. So, for people meeting you for the first time, how do you explain what do you do today?
In the simplest terms, I help women primarily around the age of 40 and above get clear in their business, identify a strategy with clear outcomes, goals, milestones, and I help them execute.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, I think that in the world we're living right now, where people are demoralized and feel that
Mm.
it's that now it's not the time, that it is the worst of times, right? And of course, I'm generalizing, but I think that your job as coach becomes much more important for people to realize their potential.
Yeah. I think in this day and time of so many moving pieces, with the economy all over the place and nothing being certain, I think it's a really good time for people to delve into some form of entrepreneurship because you don't want to have all of your eggs in one basket, right? And so for those who have never dared to dream or dared to jump into that, I think it's really key to have people around you that you trust who've already walked the path, but who can show you the way so that you can have success and it can be sustainable. Yeah.
And what pushed you to start Chanda Co. and move into coaching?
Very much that. I was an entrepreneur already in government contracting as a consultant, and I experienced a major loss. I lost my brother to gun violence, and I kind of got jolted, right? Mentally, physically, like all the things. He was only 27 when he passed away, and I started a nonprofit. But one of the things that made me ask myself was if I was to leave this earth today, would I be happy with the impact that I made? And so in the nonprofit space, I was teaching classes, life skill classes, entrepreneur classes, things like that. And I realized there's something to this. I like it. So I started taking coaching, right? And it's a little different from like a college course because I have master's degrees, I have upper level education. I wanted to go and see what the space looked like from a participatory standpoint. What is it to this thing? Because when you think about a coach and a consultant, they're very similar, I think. But in the coaching space, my peers would say, "How are you getting this stuff done? Can you help me? Can you coach me? Can you mentor me?" And so that kind of started my journey. A little all over the place, but I still got there, right? But what I realized is that I really enjoy watching someone take something from out of their head or their heart and bring it to life, right? And I like to be a part of that process. I like to not just watch it happen, but be a part of the process to make it happen. And so here I am.
Right, right. I'm sorry to hear about your brother.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, why your focus on third quarter entrepreneurs? What does that mean, and why does that matter?
So, third quarter is thinking of life and the journey that we take. A lot of times we're taught, at least in my generation, we were taught go to school, get the education, get the good job, you have your family, right? You buy the house. And so in the third quarter, it really is that place where you've gotten to where you've done all the things, right? You checked all the blocks. And it's like, okay, I've raised my kids, I did the career, I was the supportive spouse, like whatever that looked like for you. And it's like, now what? What is there left for me? And you're old enough to know better, but you still have so much life ahead of you. And so you're looking to do the next thing that means something to you because, you think third quarter is close to the end, right? And there's an urgency there to fulfill a passion or the thing that pulls your heart or the thing that moves you. And so that's where third quarter comes in. Why third quarter? Well, I can relate, right? because it is literally, where I am in my life. I have 5 adult children. I did the corporate career. I had several houses. I have the aging parents. And, it took something major to happen to me, like losing my brother, to kinda jolt me to say, "Okay, as I enter this next phase, it needs to mean something," right? And so 3rd quarter, there's an urgency there. The other thing is, I think with my personality, prior military, business, corporate, I'm very straight to the point, and I don't think I would be a good fit for younger people. And what I mean by that is you would talk to them different. They feel like they have forever. They're not in a rush to get anything done, right? I am very much like excited by execution. Like, let's get it done. Let's see what happens. And so there's just a different mindset, tenacity, and energy that comes along with dealing with people in the 3rd quarter, right? Thinking about the
Right,
3rd quarter of the
right.
game. Yeah.
The uh, the young people are still discovering themselves and they're trying to figure things out. And I can understand what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah. And honestly, business information applies no matter who's doing the business, right? But there's just a different, like I said, urgency. There's an energy that comes with getting things done in the 3rd quarter that you don't get from the 1st quarter or necessarily the
Right,
2nd.
right. And
Yeah.
you have a level of maturity that
Mhm.
you don't have before. And also for any entrepreneurship, age is not a factor, right? I
Mm-mm.
mean, it's about finding a need, fulfilling a need. It's
Mhm.
about communicating that need. All of that, it's intellectual, right? I mean, there is an age where we have a decline on cognitive functions, right?
Right.
But there is this sweet spot where that doesn't happen yet. So you have 99% of your
Yeah.
cognitive functions, right? So yeah, it's just a little bit less energy, maybe. But I feel I have a little bit less energy, so I have been working out more to kind of compensate that, right?
Yeah.
And it works, right? So I'm a little bit more conscientious about how wh- when I push forward to
Mhm.
to you know to kind of uh, manage my energy throughout the day, right? But
For sure.
anyway, that wouldn't affect the business at all, right?
I think it can. And so that's the biggest component of what I do is I focus
Right,
on helping people create businesses for the season of life that they're in, right? And so if you have a great idea, if you're excited about it, you love doing the thing, if it checks all the blocks, like it solves a major problem and people are willing to pay for it, but it requires a lot from you and you don't have the capacity for it, it doesn't fit your season, it eventually is going to drain you. It's going to be really difficult. And it has to do with the design as well. So it's making sure you design it and that you create a business around your life and not try to fit your life around the business for
right.
sure.
My parents started on their 70s. They started teaching robot classes about robotics
Uh-huh.
to kids, and they love it. And they found a new passion teaching
Mm,
teaching those classes. Yeah, and they did it. They designed the activity according to their energy, their time, and
hmm.
everything. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's like there are a lot of opportunities where regardless of the age, you can contribute. And
Yeah.
something interesting that I take away from what you were talking about is finding purpose again in life, right?
Yeah. For sure.
So when someone comes with a dream but no plan, how do you guide them towards building a successful entrepreneurship?
First things first is I'm going to ask them, what does success look like for them? Right? Because you have to know your end goal and you plan towards it. And if you don't have a clue of the thing that you're chasing, you'll just keep running in circles, which is not that hard. Honestly, it's not. But being clear on the thing that you're after and why you're doing it will help you map out your strategy, right? And so they say it's a statistic that says if you complete 80% of what's required to accomplish a goal, then you will have success. You may have to refine it, but you will achieve the goal. And I think a big part of the problem right now is a lot of people are consuming a lot of information. They're like, they want to hear the next big thing, but they're not doing anything. Right. And so how do you know if you are 80% complete if you don't have a plan to go by, if you don't have outcomes that you're looking at, if you don't have milestones that you're working towards? Your milestones are your markers to let you know if you're making progress. And so, first things first is, what exactly are you trying to achieve and what does it look like and why are you going after that thing? Because if it's not something that pulls you or that you're invested in, your why is not strong enough, you won't stick with it when times are hard. Motivation, it doesn't keep you going when there's no motivation. You have to have something tied to your why.
Right, right. And that's why I circle around the word of purpose, right? Because
Mhm.
from what you're describing on the third quarter, right?
Yeah.
The kids left the nest, now it's a couple that they're not used to, and I'm generalizing, of course, but they're not used to being a couple, they're used to being a mom and dad, right? So
Right.
they have to learn how to be a couple again, right?
Yeah.
And then the house is alone, and what have I done with my life, right?
Yeah.
And
For sure.
that lack of purpose can be very motivating for people to start a new entrepreneurship, right?
Mhm.
A new project. And I think that it's important on that context to use that motivation to build a purpose, and as you're mentioning, finding achievable goals
Mhm.
that are going to be have significant importance for each of us, right?
Yeah. For sure.
So what is the biggest time management mistake you see new entrepreneurs make?
They don't know where their time is going. So one of the things I hear almost always is, "I don't have enough time." And I said, "That's impossible. We all got the same 24 hours. What do you mean?" And so the first thing I'll say is, "Okay, let's do a calendar audit for 5 days. I want you to set an alarm for the 5 days. Every hour goes off. I want you to write down how you spent your hour. The following week, we're going to come back and we're going to discuss what you did with your hours because we all got the same 24 hours. And if you are not making progress towards the thing that you say you want to do, not what I said for you to do, but what you said you want to do, we need to find out why. Like, what are you doing? Either you are doing things that are not moving it forward, right? Which means you have the wrong list, or you're doing other stuff and you're not working on it at all, which happens a lot. And so the first thing I tell them is, let's do a calendar audit. Let's see how you're spending your time. And then after that, let's look at those things. And if you're doing things but it's scattered, let's tighten that so it can make a greater impact. But if you're doing things that are not tied to your goals, then we need to talk about how much time, how much capacity do you have in your week to actually dedicate to moving your goals and your business forward. And so then we talk about time blocking, right? And being strategic about how we're focusing during that time and making it non negotiable by eliminating distractions and setting yourself up for success. So then you can start seeing success, right? Because then you'll be motivated to keep going. Because that's how the brain works.
Right. Right. Yeah, I find that very interesting. I mean, I think that a big component of your practice is about accountability
Hmm.
based on not external accountability, but mostly showing, putting a mirror in front of your
Hmm.
coachees, right? So it's more of a internal accountability, right? You said you were going to do this, so now
Hmm.
I'm showing you, you know, how these instructions are not allowing you to achieve your own goals, right?
Exactly. Because once they see it, they can't unsee it. Right? Once a person sees it, they can't unsee it, but then it makes them be accountable and responsible to the thing that they say they want. Yeah.
Um, how many people do you see that embrace that and make a significant change on their life versus people that reject it and go hide again on their own patterns and behaviors?
I'll say 85 to 90%, right? And so another statistic says if you tell someone about your goal, right? You have a goal and you tell a person about it, you are 65% more likely to achieve that goal simply because you told someone else about it. And now you're worried about them asking you, how's it going? But when you have someone on a regular basis checking in with you on the progress of that goal, the success rate increases to 95%, which means basically you achieve the goal because now you're worried about somebody checking in with you on the progress of your goal on a regular basis. It's how we're wired. Even though we're doing the thing that we say we want to do, now we're so worried about, oh my God, I got to get this thing done because Federico is going to be checking with me, right? He is going to be asking me, where am I? It's like, I got to get it done. And so, because we don't want to show up empty handed, we perform and move towards the thing we say we want.
Right, right. It's peer pressure and
Mm-hmm.
accountability with people that we care, right? That we have a
Mm-hmm.
personal relationship with, right?
Yeah, well, or a
Yeah,
coach, or if you're in a community, right? It could be a
right,
spouse, a mentor, a coach, a community, just someone saying, where are you on this? Did you do anything? Yeah,
right,
show me what you got. Let's talk about it. Then you'd be like, oh my God, I gotta have something to talk about.
right. The discomfort of doing it,
Mm-hmm.
it is a resistance of doing the change, right? And then, but the discomfort of showing up to a coach or whoever that I make the promise, looking in the eyes empty handed and say, well, I screwed up. I didn't do it, right? I said I would, but I didn't. That becomes much higher that eventually we kind of push towards doing what it was
Yeah,
uncomfortable to do. Yeah. Isn't that amazing how, you know, our mind works?
yeah, for sure.
So, what is a simple productivity habit that creates outsized results for your clients?
Productivity hack. We talked about a few of them already to make yourself more productive is say one I didn't mention. This one, for example, if you have a time block, and for me, I like the longer ones, right? So I may set a time block for an hour, but within an hour, I'm not going to sit there for one entire hour. I'm going to set a reminder to get up at 45 to 50 minutes into that time block and take a break, right? Get up, walk, move around, check my email, check social media, let the dog out. And then if I'm going to start resume working, I'm going to sit back down. The reason we do that is because your mind, your brain is like a rubber band that is stretched. And if you're sitting in front of a computer and you're working constantly, right, with no break, it takes a wear and tear on your brain. It actually makes you less focused and less productive. But what they found in research is that when you get up and you take those small breaks in between, it allows your brain to relax, kind of let go of what you're working on. Even if you come back to work on it for the next hour or the next block, what you'll find is you're more refreshed. And at the end of your day, you're less stressed. And so your day will be more productive. The other thing is when you're making a to-do list, making sure that your to-do list is actually things on the list that's going to move your goal forward. And the way you measure that is simply based on the outcome at the end of the day. By doing these things, did I actually move my goal business forward? Okay. And so be realistic. I always say choose one thing or choose no more than three things, right? For your day. So you should have a focus out of 24 hours. I'm going to do this one thing because the impact is that it's going to move me forward in this direction this way. And understanding what that looks like because it's your goal. So there is work involved, but if you actually incorporate it, you can see so much change and you can make so much progress that it is a game changer for sure.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
I used to do the tomato timer. What is the name? Pomodoro technique, which
Mm-hmm.
is 45 minutes working, 15
With the break.
minutes
Yeah.
resting. Yeah. Which I found it was, I thought it was kind of cheating because it's like, well, I don't want to waste 15 minutes of a productive hour, right?
Mm.
So I have been, yeah, I used to be. I think that's the best way to say it. I used to be more of a mule, right? Like I would just put my head down and push, 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 push until
Mm.
get the results, right? Which work when I was younger. It didn't work as good when I was older. Now I'm 42, so on my 30s it didn't work as much, right? But this stubbornness of no matter what happens in the world, I will keep moving forward. But now with a little bit less energy, I kind of
Mm-hmm.
choose my battles. I started doing the Pomodoro technique and it worked great, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
then I could take like 5 minutes breaks, right? I was able to optimize it to 5 minutes, right? But every 3 or 4 hours I would need like the 15 minutes of break, right?
Mhm.
And then I will take the 15 minutes, right? But then I know that the 45 are very productive, right? And
Mhm.
that has been a game changer for me. Yeah, I haven't done it in a while though, but you know, you kind of I think that these techniques or these tactics, you use them, you kind of consciously use them, and
Mhm.
then you kind of stop using them, but they remain in your mind, right? So unconsciously you embrace the change and you keep moving forward with that, right? So I think that that's kind of what happened with me because I realized I didn't needed to go back to fully implementing it, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. But anyway, it's very interesting. So you're a Lean Six Sigma black belt, right? How does that translate to your coaching practice and small businesses?
Beautifully. So, Lean Six Sigma in layman's terms is simply observing processes and systems and eliminating bottlenecks to make them more efficient and effective. And so, when you think of a business owner, whether they're beginning or they've been in business for a little while, a lot of times businesses can't scale because they're a single point of failure and they have bottlenecks, right? And so when I come into a business as a coach and a strategist, I can say, hey, let's talk about your business and let's see the best way to kind of streamline those processes and those workflows to help them streamline those processes and workflows to make their business more effective and efficient so that they can scale and increase their capacity.
I find that very interesting because I mean I work on the corporate world
Mhm.
where you have a lot of red tape to follow through, right? And
Mhm.
everything has to, But then I bootstrap my own company, and you know you have a canvas where you
Mhm.
can do everything, and that is frightening at first, but also you can get away with less red tape, but then you start finding that you do need red tape. You need formality on the processes
You too.
to avoid issues, right? Avoid mistakes, right? So find it being able to convey you know that there is a value and benefit of implementing
Yeah.
these workflows, checks and balances, and systems that allows you
Yeah.
to
For
run
sure.
the business more efficiently. Yeah. So in your Navy years, you work on obsolescence and risk mitigation, right?
Mhm.
What is the business version of that?
Think every person that goes into business should do market research and they should use inversion is a thought process in the sense of I want my business to be successful. What's the worst case scenario? What could go wrong? What could keep me from being successful? Those are your risks. And knowing your risks up front can allow you to plan for contingencies because you can't manage what you don't measure. And so when you think of obsolescence, it means something is no longer necessary or value added or it's no longer available. And so when you think of the AI age, for instance, and all of the robotic things that are happening, and that's on the front right now, and it's like, okay, what is going to be the impact to my business long term? How can I incorporate this into my business to leverage it as a resource, but also to make me more value added in the space so that I don't become obsolete? Okay. And so having that knowledge up front, every client that works with me, not only do they get a plan of action with tasks, estimated start completion dates, dependencies, but they also get something that identifies the risk. If these are the steps to successfully incorporate a system in my business or to successfully launch my business, whatever the plan of action is for, based on the needs of that client, then they also get something that says these are the risks to prevent me from accomplishing this in the journey, right? Because they need to be situationally aware because the moment that it's a thought, then it's like, okay, now I'm not ignorant to it. Now I'm aware of it and now I can plan for it. And so when you think, how do I make my business successful? This is what success looked like. You can also say, if my business was going to fail, what would that look like? Right. And then you work to make sure those things don't happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you build a risk analysis plan, a mitigation plan, and there's another word where you try to reduce the risk or the
Exactly.
chances of that to happen, right?
Exactly.
And then if it happens, you have a plan of if it happens, then these are the things that I'm going to do to reduce the impact,
Exactly.
right? Yeah. I don't remember the word is mitigation, and there's another word for that, but I understand the concept.
Yeah, for
And I think
sure.
that that's very important because I mean in the Navy, you know, lives are at risk if if there are logistics issue, if there are equipment issues, people's life are at risk. In the business, you don't have that same feeling, but the business is at risk, right?
For sure. Absolutely. And I think as any invested business owner, you should know what that looks like for you. Yeah.
Can you share a client story where someone went from stuck to confident and moving fast?
I'm from stuck to moving fast. Had a client who came to me and she was wanting to pivot. And a lot of the time I'm always wondering why people are so willing to walk away from lived experience. Okay. And so she was pivoting into something that wasn't it wasn't what she was doing, but it wasn't completely separated. I'll put it that way. And I told her, I said, "Well, I think that you should go, in a different direction." And I told her why. I said, "I think you have a wealth of knowledge here." I'm really big on human capital. I don't think enough people talk about human capital and what that means and how we should maximize on that because our worth is based on all of our experience, our education, as well as our lived experience. And so she, she kept like, I'm like, "You're paying me, so I will allow you basically to tell me the thing you wanna do, and we'll go that direction, but I really think you should consider moving this other direction." And so, we did all the work around her going the way she wanted, and she came back to me a few months later, and she's like, "You are never gonna guess what I decided to do. Like, I took your advice. I'm gonna do this thing. I think it's a great idea. I'm super excited. Like, I've done all this stuff." And she's like, "I'm just," and I was like, "Really?" And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, I'm still gonna keep that over there, but I'm so excited by this thing. Was thinking about what you said, and I'm going the way you told me to go." And I was like, "Well, good for you. I'm super excited." But it was when you're dealing with people in their dreams, right? My job is just to facilitate, right? To be a catalyst and a conduit. Conduit in the sense of giving you the information that you need, listen in the sense of pushing you in the direction you say you want to go. But in those situations, also as a coach and a strategist, because of my experience, when I'm talking to you and you're telling me where you've come from, what you've done, and where you want to go, I'm always looking for opportunities for you to maximize, right, and exploit so that you can get the most bang for your buck, but also so you can have the greatest success. And so sometimes clients come and because they're not sure of themselves, and at this age, a lot of them feel like they are imposters, even though they have a wealth of knowledge. When they actually marry the two and they take my advice, and I can see them go from, "I don't know about that, I'm just and then they come in like, "Oh my God, let me tell you, I did and it worked out and it's amazing." So I was super happy for her. Super happy for her. But we wasted a few months working on the things she thought she wanted. So she's
Right.
doing great now. Yeah, she's doing great now, on the right path, making great strides, stepping into the thing and making money, right? Because that's the goal of every business is to make money. And so, yeah.
Otherwise, it's a hobby.
Right, right. So, yeah.
And and it's not about making, a lot of money. It's about making money, right? Whatever goals you set, right? Then
I was
from there
gonna
you can do
say,
better,
yeah,
right?
it depends on where you are in your life and what so someone asked me recently, what is the different definition of success for me now than when I was younger? And it was when I was younger, I thought I was chasing all of the things like the house, the car, the education, the job, the pay, the money. Now my success looks like, right? Saying yes and meaning it and saying no with no regrets. Like, I don't no. No is a whole word. It's a sentence by itself. No. Why? Because I don't want to. That's success. Because there are times when you're working for other people and you have so many other obligations you can't. And when I say yes, I mean it. I'm saying yes because I want to, because I'm able to, because I'm free to do that. So that's a different level of success, understanding the different constraints around that. So I had all the other stuff, but it came with so much sacrifice for sure.
Yeah, the every high performing role, job, leading a company, anything you do like that, and any work like that, at the highest performing levels, it means that you breathe every single minute of your life that, right? I mean, the that means that you work 12 hours a day. You don't see your family. You're traveling a lot, right? I mean, every single one, right? You go with people in sports. You go with founder of big companies, right? Everyone that goes through that happens, right? Either organically by decision or that the company pulls you into, right? So being able to find that, define exactly where you want to be, and being able to
Mhm.
say, okay, this is what I want, right? This is a balance that I want in my life. I think that
Mm,
that becomes much more meaningful than money per se, right?
for sure. And I think honestly, with the way things are, if you design it correctly, you can have it all. Like, why can't you? Right? Because you
Right.
can, the automations and the systems and the delegation and being location independent is really about designing it to fit your capacity, but also being intentional about your time and your space and really strong boundaries, right? And identifying your why and what's important for you for that season.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I completely agree. I think the story of your client is very inspiring.
Yeah.
But I understand the struggle, right? It's the disconnect between the rational mind and the emotional
Hmm.
mind, but at the same time, you're trying to serve her in the best way, right?
Yeah.
The being able to see how she realizes that your initial, direction was the best one. It must be very fulfilling for you.
It is. That's what makes me do what I do. And there's a level of trust that comes, right? I almost say I lend my clients my self-trust because they sometimes come and they're like, well, I have this little thing that I want to do. And I'm like, well, tell me about it. Let's talk about it. And so as we talk about it, I'm asking questions that make them explain it to kind of bring it to life. And it's like for the first time, someone is giving them permission to make it big, right? Because before it was just this little thing, but now it's this really big thing that could possibly happen. And so the energy changes around that and the mindset changes around that. And what was at first small, now it seems big, but it also seems doable, right? And so who doesn't love that? It's like unicorns and rainbows.
Right, and being a little bit of a part of that success.
Mhm.
I think that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
You had a client where, or in which situation you recommend not to pursue an entrepreneurship initiative, right? Have you found those situations, or it's something that you usually can work it out?
Honestly, I believe as long as you're willing to do the work, that you can have whatever you say you want to have. Now, I have had clients who come to me and they say they want the thing, but they're not willing to do the work and they have a lot of excuses. And I say that loosely because I don't want to be non empathetic to their situations. But if you don't make your goals non negotiable, who will? And so I have had clients who come to me, and if you have a bad day or you have a bad situation, I'll listen because I'm human, right? I'm like, okay, sorry to hear that. Sorry you're having a bad day. Let's talk about it. Maybe you just need to, and I'll try to help the situation. But if you come to me every single week and it's a different situation and it's one more thing that keeps you from reaching the thing that you say you want, I'm going to say, I don't know if I'm the right person to help you. You may need to also get a therapist because then it becomes bigger than what I'm capable of doing. And so I have said that ultimately my hands are tied. Your win is my win, but if you're not willing to win, I don't know what I'm here for, right? And so that can sound harsh, but it's realistic. It can sound harsh, very realistic, but can also be a hard pill to swallow if the person is not ready for that.
Right, right. Yeah, because it sounds easy, but it's very hard on the work, on the emotional level,
Mhm.
the exposing, yourself to the world. That
Mhm.
that it's you know it's a ruthless world, right? I mean, the world don't care about your entrepreneurship, right?
Not at all.
Or your feelings, right? I mean, and
Yeah,
I say that with love, right? What I'm trying to say is that, it requires a lot of mental strength and emotional
it
strength
does.
to go out there, right? So
Yeah.
I can see people self-sabotaging themselves.
Mhm.
And your role as this mirror that I was talking before, showing them they're doing that, but eventually it's their responsibility to
Mhm.
make the decision to
Yeah,
go into the adventure or not, right?
for sure. When I first started, when I left corporate and I started looking at coaching, I was like, I'll just be a strategist because who doesn't need a strategy, right? But what I realized as I started working with people is that most people, they need the strategy, but they also need that CEO mindset. They also need that accountability. They also needed that mirror, right? They needed someone to help them develop that personal development. And so that's where it's like, okay, well, I'm not just a business strategist. I'm going to have to be a coach because they need people that's going to not just leave breadcrumbs to show them how to get there, but they're also going to need people to coach them on and say, you've got this, cheer them on and say, you've got this. Like, let's go, let's get it done. Where are we at? How is this thing going? And so they need that coaching for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So looking ahead, what do you hope your work helps more people believe in what is possible in the third quarter of their lives?
I want to help lots of people reach their dreams. I think our lives are seeds that we sow. And so every time that I help someone is planting a seed into their future that they can be the best version of themselves and they can do the thing that they once thought was impossible. Absolutely.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
And what advice would you give to your younger self?
My younger self, whoa, I would tell my younger self, keep going. You're on the right path. It gets easier. And don't forget to live. Enjoy the ride for sure.
And one last question before we wrap it up. What is a hard lesson you learned about leadership throughout all your years of career?
Mm. I think about leadership, um, is like you said, I think you said it best a minute ago. It's like the work doesn't care, right? And so real leadership is you roll up your sleeves and you just get it done because at the end of the day, the work doesn't care. And I think I learned some of those best lessons during my time in the military, right? Is because there's no questions asked. You have a role to play, you have a job to do, you need to get it done. There's no whining, there's no complaining, there's no, oh, I'm not showing up. And so I was able to take that and embrace it and take it into every other role in my life. As I went into corporate, my military bearing became my professionalism, right? How I showed up, that tenacity now became that fortitude to show up in corporate to get things done, right? No matter what. And so that same level of get it done in the military discipline is the same leadership and tenacity that shows up in the coaching and the strategy space. I'm there. I love you. I want to see this thing come right to pass, but you got to get it done. So, absolutely. Hope to answer your question.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that we are coming from different journeys and agreeing
Hmm.
on a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
Because that kind of reinforce each other's insights that we are
Yeah.
that they're valued and that we are right based on our experiences, right? And it
Yeah.
applies to your experiences as well. So I'm happy to hear that. Yeah. We're running out of time, Chand. I truly appreciate you being here today. Any final remarks before we wrap it up?
No, thank you so much for having me. I agree. I think the human race is just that one big human race, right? And so we should all treat each other as such. I think the world be such a much better place. If anything I've said has resonated, I invite people to connect with me for sure. ChandaCo.com and Chanda two underscores co on all social media platforms. I would love to mentor and help them on to greatness for their next chapter for sure.
Great. And we're going to leave the links in the description below so people can connect and reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chanda.